So, I absolutely hate kid movies, by which I mean to say movies where you have kids or young adults, say 21 or under, acting as if they were adults. Think about, say, the new Ghostbusters. Not that I've seen it. But before I get too far into this, let's run the intro. So, this video was prompted by a series on Amazon Prime called The Hunters. Truth be told, it may be an okay series, but I only saw the first few minutes. Why? Because it starred children. Despite the fact they were like 25, they immediately go from normal kids to adults in an instant. So why is that bad? Well, truth be told, it's not an age thing but an experience thing. I'm quite young myself, but I grew up on classic movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Sean Connery. They were real men playing real characters with real experience. I find the problem with many movies is they miss the training montage. We see kids with no experience suddenly develop the skills in seconds that other characters take years or even decades to master. Another example of this can be seen in the second Pacific Rim movie. Again, the main characters are in their 20s. They're training to become Jaeger pilots, and when the kaiju threat comes, they have to fight them. This sounds like an okay premise, and it's not dissimilar to the first movie, but there's a huge difference. In the original, although the main character was in his early 30s, he not only had a history of hard work and setbacks, but he came into a larger group of older, more experienced people. In the second movie, there are no real adults. What do I mean? Well, they're kids in training, but their teachers are all but non-existent. They don't fight the kaiju, they don't really contribute in any meaningful way. There were no previous graduates of the school who were called in. There are no bona fide experts. To use a more well-known example, let's look at the difference between the original Tomb Raider and the remake. In the original movie, a 26-year-old Angelina Jolie plays Lara Croft. Her father went missing when she was a child, and she spent years developing the skills and connections she eventually used in the movie. Hell, the opening scene was of her training against a robot. The remake shows a different route, showing a young, immature and inexperienced Lara, played by the 29-year-old Alicia Vikander. Despite her being older, her character lacks the experience of the original Lara. The first Lara scene in the remake is her boxing and being choked out by another woman. She is weak and arrogant. She has wasted her time since her father disappeared. She is instead spending her time playing games and getting in trouble. Another important distinction is while Lara used her father's fortune to her favour, allowing her to buy equipment, fund her training in various expeditions, and to facilitate her lifestyle, in the remake, Lara turns down her inheritance due to her pride and arrogance, using the childish logic that if she accepted the money, she accepts that her father is dead. And in this movie, over essentially no time at all, she manages to go from being dominated by a woman her size to beating men much larger than her, merely by the benefit of her being the main character. And that's the same with every other significant act in this movie. She doesn't have the experience, she hasn't gone through the training, she hasn't put in the effort. Of course, this has got nothing to do with the actors, as I've already said. At the time of making the movie, Alicia Vikander was 29 and Angelina Jolie was only 26. It's about the characters they're depicting. I suppose my real issue with such arcs is the disrespect shown to those who put in effort and the message that gives to the viewers. Why spend years of time in great expense training like the original Lara when you can just mess around and magically develop the skills you need at a moment's notice like the remake? It's also got to do with respect to the previous generation. The original Lara arguably could never have become the woman she was in the movie were it not for her father's money. She leveraged the previous generation's work to her advantage, whereas the remake Lara does it all by herself, and yet she still manages to achieve the same things, although she wouldn't really have. But that's essentially the end of my take in this video. Maybe I'll explain this later if some people find it interesting, but until such a point, I've been Alexander and I'll see you next time.